The Fire Nation used the power of Sozin's comet to launch the 100-Year War, ambushed the Air Nomads who had no idea what was coming. They wiped out an entire culture in one devastating strike. But 100 years later, Aang rose to the challenge, defeated the Fire Nation, and in the name of the Air Nomads, restored balance to the world. Now the Fire Nation, they got real lucky. They had two huge advantages: the comet's boost in power and the element of surprise. Without those, the Air Nomads might have stopped the war before it even began. And honestly, I'd argue the whole world should be thankful that the Air Nomads was pacifists. If they ever decided to go on the offensive, this war would have been over before it even started. Welcome back to the Casual TV channel, and today we're breaking down how different the world of Avatar The Last Airbender would have been if the Air Nomads were the ones who started the war. Let's start the war on the same day for the Air Nomads, except they're going to sleep in and let Sozin's comet pass by real quick. And I believe that the Airbenders would return the favor and attack the Fire Nation capital first. Why, you might ask? I think it might be the easiest out of the three major capitals to attack. The Airbenders can fly into all the cities, but Ba Sing Se is so fast, and it'd be easier to get the Fire Nation capital out of the way. So imagine this: hundreds of Airbenders gliding silently through the clouds under the cover of night. They descend straight into the royal palace. All it would take is one skilled Airbender to pull the air from the soldiers' lungs, and the Fire Nation army would surrender right on the spot. That's what makes the Airbenders so terrifying in theory. They can control the very thing that every living being depends on: air itself. They could take the air out of a room, air out of your lungs, or out of an entire battlefield if they wanted to. But if they wanted to spread their prosperity with the rest of the world like the Fire Nation does, then I think they would try and not use that move all too often. And also, we wouldn't have a story to tell here if they did that every single time. Now Aang is still going to be in the story because remember, they said this on why he needed to begin his training.
I fear that war may be upon us, young Avatar.
If the Air Nomads are the ones starting the war, then there's no need for Aang to rush his training to stop it. Instead, they're likely wanting to keep the Avatar close, under their control, to make sure he doesn't get in the way of all their plans. When Aang learns what the Airbenders have done to the Fire Nation, he immediately confronts all the elders. They explain their reasoning, the same justification Sozin once gave to Avatar Roku, saying they only want to share Air Nomads' prosperity with the world. Aang, furious, warns that they will throw the world out of balance. The elders sit up. They say you're either with us or against us. When Aang refuses to join them, they throw him in Airbender prison and continue on with their plan. With the Avatar captured and the Fire Nation capital under their control, the Air Nomads turn their attention to the next target, Ba Sing Se. Geographically, it's their most logical move, close enough to strike from the southern and eastern air temples, and strategically valuable since it's the Earth Kingdom's center of power. The walls of Ba Sing Se don't mean much when your army can fly right over them. The Airbenders cruise into Ba Sing Se, land on the front doorstep, and fight the Dai Li and the Royal Guards. This becomes the Air Nomads' toughest battle as of yet, and the Earthbenders are strong and resilient, but the sheer force of the Air Nomads and the bending ability will eventually take over. And if things ever start to go a little bit south, a few soldiers losing their breath turns the tides really quickly. I know I said it's a cop-out, but they would definitely use it if they were losing. Meanwhile, back at the Southern Air Temple, Aang remains chained, just like when Admiral Zhao captured him in the original series, unable to use his bending. That's when an old friend pulls up and Monk Gyatso, disgusted with how the Airbenders have been acting, sets Aang free. They battle their way out of the Southern Air Temple, find Appa, and head to the Northern Water Tribe. The Air Nomad leaders aren't concerned though. They know that Aang can't stop them. With the Air Nomads occupying 3 of the 4 nations, it's nearly impossible for the Avatar to master all the elements. Their sky patrols now guard the borders, replacing the Fire Nation blockades from the original war. Aang and Gyatso arrive at the Northern Water Tribe and prepare for the final stand. Aang begins to learn waterbending, even though it will probably not matter in the end. The Airbenders head to the Northern Air Temple to gather and strategize their final attack on the Water Tribe. The Air Nomads are holding all the cards. They can attack during the day, and they are waiting for the perfect moon phase to give the waterbenders the least power available. The only advantage the Water Tribe has is knowing which direction the attack will come from, but the morale is very low. The sun rises and thousands of airbenders sweep across the sky and begin their assault. They conquer their way all the way up to the palace courtyard, where Monk Gyatso and Aang are waiting. The airbenders surround them, and with a splendid display of bending, they fight back. But in the end, they are overwhelmed. The Airbenders give them one final chance to join their cause. Aang and Gyatso refuse, unwilling to throw the world further out of balance. The Airbenders unleash their forbidden technique. Gyatso gasps for breath and falls. Aang is not given the same fate. They don't want the next Avatar in the cycle to come so soon, so he returns to his prison and he's left there until the cycle is renewed. The Air Nomads win the war easily. With every nation under their rule, they finally have the chance to share their prosperity and the balance of the world is lost. What do you guys think about that? Too dark? Not enough detail? Didn't make any sense? Or was it actually kind of intriguing? Drop a comment down below and let me know how you felt about this darker, alternative version of Avatar The Last Airbender. The Air Nomads we know are peaceful, spiritual, and deeply connected to balance, while the Fire Nation is driven by ambition and conquest. And honestly, it's probably for the best that it stayed that way, because if the Air Nomads ever had the same level of aggression, the world would have never stood a chance at balance ever again. Thanks for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed this what-if look into a darker Avatar timeline. If you want more Avatar content like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more theories, breakdowns, and stories coming soon. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.